A good day, everyone. I'm Hazel P. From the West Visayas State University College of Education in Iloilo City. My areas of expertise are ethnography and critical discourse analysis. Today, I would like to present to you my paper on integrating traditional ecological knowledge into marine conservation, insights from a Philippine island. The TEK, or local ecological knowledge, has frequently been undervalued by scientists, policymakers, and governance bodies. Its qualitative and non-standard nature presents challenges for integration with conventional scientific knowledge. However, acknowledging and incorporating tech is crucial for enhancing fisheries management and achieving better management outcomes alongside CSK. In the coastal communities of Guimaras, an island province in the Western Visayas region of the Philippines about the size of Singapore, traditional folk sayings and practices provide profound insights into local perceptions of marine hazards and resource management. TEK encompasses a collective body of wisdom, practices, institutions, and beliefs developed and passed down to generations. It includes the perspectives and understandings formed by traditional communities through their interactions with the natural environment. This body of knowledge integrates cultural traditions with adaptive practices that enable communities to preserve biodiversity, enhance their living conditions, and respond to environmental changes and disturbances, according to Terra et al. TEK's significance in maintaining ecological balance and fostering resilience is well documented in the literature, yet it often remains overlooked in contemporary conservation efforts. Folklore, including folk sayings or folk speech, represents an integral aspect of TEK. Shmonsky explains that folklore encompasses cultural ideas, while TEK provides the framework that supports these ideas, particularly for ecological reasons. Recent contributions to the field, such as those by Perotti et al., compare Western and indigenous worldviews, emphasizing that TEK is closely linked to specific locations. This spatial orientation contrasts with the temporal focus of Western perspectives and highlights the interconnectedness of all elements within traditional knowledge systems. TEK principles, such as the interconnectedness of all things and the idea that everything is related, reflect a deep sense of place and respect for non-human beings. This study focuses on non-narrative folklore, specifically folk sayings, in 4 communities within the marine protected areas of Guimaras. While acknowledgement of TEK's value is increasing, its integration into contemporary conservation strategies such as MPAs remains limited. Many studies focus primarily on ecological and scientific aspects of marine management, often neglecting the impact of local cultural practices and spiritual beliefs. This research addresses this gap by exploring how TEK and supernatural beliefs among Guimaras fishers can be integrated into marine resource management. By examining traditional beliefs and spiritual practices, this study demonstrates the need to blend cultural insights with modern conservation strategies to enhance marine stewardship and community engagement. The objectives of the study are the following: to explore the concepts of mariit, and here mariit we mean the uncanny or dangerous places, and palhi, meaning the accursed or ill-fated, within the TEK of these communities, and how these concepts reflect their worldview and relationship with the sea. To investigate how the belief in shared stewardship of the sea with spirit beings and marine life influences the community's practices and attitudes towards marine conservation. The third objective is to assess the potential for integrating TEK into marine conservation strategies and policies to achieve more effective and sustainable conservation outcomes. The fourth perspective is to provide insights and recommendations for policymakers on the importance of respecting and utilizing local knowledge systems in developing conservation policies. And finally, the last objective is to contribute to the academic discourse by providing a model for applying TEK in diverse cultural contexts, promoting a more inclusive and holistic approach to conservation science. And here I would like to discuss the materials and methods, specifically the research design, which employs the ethnographic research design, utilizing a content analysis approach to understand and analyze the TEK of fishing communities around the MPAs of Guimaras Island. The research focuses on exploring the TEK, specifically mariit and palhi, and the critical folklore approach was applied to theorize how these TEK concepts are key to understanding the community's role in the sustainable management and conservation of marine resources within the MPAs. Participant observation and extensive key informant interviews were used to collect primary data. I went to Guimaras and immersed myself in the daily lives of the community members, participating in activities such as fishing, to observe and document their interactions with the marine environment and their use of TEK in natural settings. So data collection involved engaging with 23 key informants from the fishing communities who shared their knowledge, practices, and beliefs through narratives. And these were in the Karay-a and Hiligaynon languages. For the research environment, there were 4 marine protected areas in the island province of Guimaras. This included Hordan, which is MPA 1, called the Hordan Municipal Marine Reserve and Sanctuary for All Marine Life. And then we have the one in Nueva Valencia, MPA 2, Tacloang Island National Marine Reserve. San Lorenzo for MPA 3, Tumalintinan Point. And Sibunag, which is MPA 4, Pamangkulan Fish Sanctuary. And the research participants, there were 23 of them. The key informants consisted of community gatekeepers who were introduced to me by the storytellers, and they were the ones who facilitated community access. Then storytellers or key informants who were basically chosen for their familiarity with TEK and their ability to recommend other individuals who possess such knowledge. So I conducted the interviews with the key informants for 10 days of November 2018. The table in the next slide shows the distribution of key informants. The most number of key informants were in Nueva Valencia, which is MPA 2. There were 12 of them, and 4 for MPA 1, 4 for MPA 3, and 4 for MP3 for MPA 4. The ethics and consent followed from the Code of Ethics of the Ugnayang Pang-agham Tao or UGAT, and the ones by the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. For materials and instruments, these are what I used: interview guide questions, a digital audio recorder, video recorder, and field. I used a pre-research stage, which involved several steps: requesting research permission from the Guimaras Governor's Office, conducting area visits and courtesy calls to barangay captains, identifying gatekeepers through these captains, initially identifying informants to the gatekeepers, and finally securing permission to interview by having informants sign consent forms. And here is the data gathering phase, which included the 5 steps, and that the data verification was most important, where I did the sorting of data and categorizing them. For the data analysis procedure, it was simply 8 steps, as you can see here, starting with data preparation and ending with member checking. As for the results, the non-narrative folklore or folk sayings found in all the communities except Hordan is folk speech composed of sayings and blessings, wherein the key informants, however, the key informants did not share metaphors, similes, proverbs, or riddles. The variants of the sayings had to do with mariit, meaning uncanny or dangerous place, and palhi, accursed or ill-fated. These are variants to any of the following. Kung mariit sa takas, mas sobrang sa lawod, which means if the land is dangerous, it is more so at sea. And kung palhi ang takas, mas palhi pagid ang lawod, which means if the land is cursed, the sea is much more so. On the other hand, all the communities in this study except Hordan had the key informants sharing how they asked for blessings for a quality fish catch from both the Christian God and the Taglugar or spirit dwellers. Nueva Valencia had sayings on both palhi and mariit, whereas San Lorenzo had only sayings on palhi, and Sibunag has similar sayings only on mariit, while Hordan did not have any. So, below are the tables on the distribution of non-narrative traditional ecological knowledge, and as usual, with the most number is Sibunag at 40. So here are some of the findings with regards to palhi and mariit. The study revealed that folk sayings related to palhi and mariit vary across different communities in Guimaras. Terms palhi and mariit reflect a shared observation among informants that the sea is perceived as more dangerous than the land. However, there are subtle distinctions between these terms. Mariit refers to places or natural objects that are deemed uncanny due to their associations with supernatural beings, leading to avoidance out of fear, superstition, or perceived personal danger. Palhi encompasses a range of meanings, including curses, places to be shunned due to the supernatural, breaches of unwritten laws of the sea, and sacred places where offerings are made. There are also blessings, and all communities in this study except Hordan describe practices of seeking blessings from both Christian deities and sea spirits for a good fish catch. There were also findings on asking for grace, wherein informants used gracia when requesting blessings for approval of good catch. And there were also sayings on appealing to sea spirits, which is basically offering a share of the catch to avoid envy from spirit beings. And more, such as we return the fish catch to the sea, saying, "Friends, please do not envy us. Here is your part," said Berto from Nueva Valencia. As for risks and hazards, it says that the sea is more mariit than the land. This saying reflects the Guimarasan species' perception of the sea as more perilous due to its unpredictability and supernatural elements. Of the 9 narratives involving mariit, 6 describe supernatural misfortunes caused by spirit beings. And additional narratives describe the consequences of being noisy at sea or encouraging strange animals, which are considered as palhi. Palhi is also identified as a curse resulting from disrespect for supernatural entities. And finally, the most important one is the perceptions on ownership, control, and distribution of resources in the MPAs. So the key informants acknowledge the role of MPAs in conserving marine life and recognize the spiritual ownership of the sea by spirit dwellers. This belief, rooted in pre-Hispanic traditions, reflect a respect for both natural and supernatural elements in marine resource management. So here is the tables for specific responses. So the Taglugar and cultural prescription says that an overarching theme is that they frequently describe rituals involving coin throwing and offerings as forms of respect and appeasement to sea spirits, ensuring favorable conditions of safety. So throwing coins, panabi-tabi, or the practice of asking permission from sea spirits to pass through uncanny places, and returning the fish catch, which is a common practice to ensure continued luck and safety. This also includes sharing with the community. And so I move on now to the discussion. This study underscores the profound cultural significance of integrating supernatural beliefs with ecological practices among fishers of Guimaras. The findings reveal that TEK is not only a repository of practical knowledge, but is also deeply intertwined with cultural and spiritual dimensions. And these are the following: the integration of supernatural beliefs with ecological practices, cultural practices as adaptive strategies, spiritual ownership and marine resource management, local knowledge and conservation synergy. So the findings of this study strongly support the mariit palhi ecological stewardship approach by demonstrating how traditional beliefs among the fishers of Guimaras, such as the concepts of mariit and palhi, are integral to their environmental practices. These beliefs lead to specific behaviors which reflect a deep TEK. Success. These include cultural sensitivity in conservation practices, integration of traditional practices with modern conservation methods, community engagement and education, and number 4, incorporation into policy development, and finally, spiritual stewardship as a conservation tool. So I also suggest MESA as an acronym for Mariit Palhi Ecological Stewardship Approach. It not only encapsulates the key components of the approach but also evokes the imagery of a mesa, a geological formation characterized by its flat top and steep sides, symbolizing a solid foundation for integrating traditional knowledge with contemporary conservation strategies. This dual connotation reinforces the framework's role in bridging indigenous cultural practices with scientific ecological management. And so I come to the conclusion, which says that the research on traditional folk sayings among Guimaras fishers highlights their perceptions of sea hazards and supernatural influences, revealing how TEK can enhance modern conservation strategies. And the study advocates for incorporating spiritual and cultural practices into resource management, proposing the mariit palhi ecological stewardship approach, or MESA. However, while the study provides a strong foundation, further research is needed to fully answer all research questions and define the proposed approach. There should be a policy recommendation such as a cultural impact assessment CIA for MPAs policy to ensure that MPAs in Guimaras respect and incorporate local cultural practices. And then broader application and global implications, they can be adapted to different cultural and ecological settings, with comparative studies offering insights into its broader applicability to global conservation efforts. Then there's a need for quantitative data as well through the CAP, which is knowledge, attitudes, and practice. And longitudinal studies are also recommended. And so we end by saying that embracing traditional knowledge and spiritual beliefs, the mariit palhi ecological stewardship approach, or MESA, offers a pathway to more inclusive and effective conservation strategies. Future research should continue to build on these findings, ensuring that TEK is recognized and integrated into both local and global conservation efforts, thereby contributing to sustainable development and ecological resilience. So these are the works cited. Thank you very much for your attention, and I am ready to answer all questions later.